Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. There we go. There we go, good morning. And welcome, one and all, to the Good Morning Walk. So as always, like I say, I've sent out the message. The signals have been lit, or the beacons have been lit, and we'll just wait for you all to filter in before we kick off with today's topics. In the meanwhile, looks like it might rain, so hopefully that will stay off. As you can see in the background, I don't know if you can see it fully, but yeah, it looks a bit rainy. I don't know if you can see in the distance there. Two rabbits. Running away. Always shocks me how full this area can get with rabbits sometimes about this time of year. Paul, good morning to you. Good morning, comrade. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Like I say, it's very fresh this morning. Very, very, very fresh indeed. Like I say, do remember to come and sit yourselves down, click the like button, and like I say, we'll get underway. Ben Ridings, welcome to the Pony Club. On duty today, we stick in Westminster. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Oh, but I think first of all I want to talk about is there's two obviously topics that have happened with Nigel Farage very recently in sort of the past 24 hours, which I think are quite, well, not 24 hours, 48 hours really, that are quite interesting to talk about. So the first one was that Nigel Farage won the trick, or the whatever it is, the television industry award for best news presenter of the year. Now, I said a couple of months ago now, when that first started, what we needed to do, and more importantly, why we needed to do it. And some people disagreed and said, "Oh no, you don't understand. You'll just fuel Farage." Well, he's already buoyed up his audience. And if you know about these types of awards, which are very, very industry specific, then you know sometimes if you get just 50 people to vote for you in a very specific body, you can sometimes win that award. And that's what really happened, I think. That's why... Oh, hang on. The chat hasn't been moving. 1 second. Leah, good morning to you. Cathla G, good morning to you. Dave Walker, good morning to you. Ben Ridings, good morning to you. Jonathan, good morning to you. Chris, good morning to you. There we go. So that's why I said when we did that video a couple of months ago, we really needed to galvanize support against Farage, because he's got a very loyal and dedicated fan base that will just go and vote for him. And as I just said, in these types of industry awards, because it's so niche, because no one no one pretty much really knows about these awards unless you're in the industry. No one really goes out and votes for them. So ultimately, that's why Farage won, and that's why I said a couple of months ago we need to mobilise, the support of the anti-Farage group, because if you can, we could have made someone else to win, because there's more than us, than certainly Farage has supporters. And also, we must point out that GB News was one of the sponsors of that particular award ceremony. So there also may have been some, shall we say, quid pro quoing of that particular award handing out. Like I say, sometimes as some of these very, shall we say, niche industry awards on the surface appear, oh yes, we've got a panel of judges, wink wink, nudge nudge, but in reality it's you pay us $2,000, which helps us host this award show, and then you get an award and it makes your company look good. Like I say, it certainly seems to be potentially, maybe that happened. I can't really say. I certainly haven't had any interactions with that particular award show, so I can't say for definite that's what happened. But certainly it seems to me Farage mobilised his audience, and, well, his audience mobilised and won, unfortunately. And that's why he pretty much won that award. Tom, good morning to you. Dave W, good morning to you. And like I say, good morning to everyone else joining us. If you haven't said hello or I've missed saying hello to you, good morning. Welcome, as always, to the Good Morning Walk. We're out ready. Hopefully it's not going to rain, but we're ready for it just in case. And of course, the other thing, there was a public vote, but was it a bona fide? Exactly. So it is was it listened to? Exactly, I agree with you that on Chris. But like I say, I work in marketing, so I know a lot of people who work in PR, who know a lot of these types of, shall we say, awards you can get. Just, get given to you randomly. And it happens every year. There's a lot of businesses that, I used to work for, especially when I was at the marketing company I used to work with. We used to get emails all the time saying, oh yes, you've won this award, now pay us X amount to receive it. And you're like, what? What? If I've already won it, why do I have to pay an exorbitant amount to receive the awards? And then of course you would go on a couple of weeks later to see that so and so had won the award, and you're like, I see they had the money to pay for it. Award shows in itself can be really weird. Like I say, if you've ever seen these before, or you worked in sort of PR or marketing, you know about these types of awards that exist around all the places. And, some people like them because it gives them a little prestige for that. And, if they like that, fair enough. Like I say, if they want that prestige, well, very often, sometimes we can be paid to do that for people. But on to the second thing that happened with Farage very recently. Farage came out and said might have to leave the UK. Patrick H, good morning to you. As Farage came out and said he might have to leave the UK, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, Farage have to leave the UK? What a shame, what a shame. But he essentially came out and said that he might have to do that because he lost his bank account. That his bank has denied him his bank account. So my first thought was, not having seen this, shall we say, the further explanation, I just saw it on Twitter initially of the video. My first thought was, oh, is Farage on some new grift? Vase, good morning to you. Yeah, run out of town by court's accounts. I initially thought, not seeing obviously the, should we say, the further rumours, shall we say, because I think it's still rumours at this point. I don't know if the bank has actually put out a proper full-on statement yet. But I initially thought, oh, this is some sort of new grift that Farage is trying on. That he's going to try and essentially make some sort of new bank, the gammon only bank account. But as you can see, cows in the background. Yes, he was trying to flog crypto recently. So it doesn't surprise me. And that was my initial reaction, because I was like, oh, surely there's now going to be an announcement that he's going to open up his own bank or something like that. Because I can imagine, obviously Farage being an ex-City banker, having the connections at least to be able to do it. And I could imagine him calling it something like, you know, the Great British Bank. Just, you know, it's Farage. Of course he's going to call it something like that. But, of course, that's not what's happened. The picture is quite fuzzy. Well, we are out in the wilderness, unfortunately. So I am at the behest of whatever connection I can get. So this is when it can become, you know, a bit strange and a bit murky. And like I say, I'm not 100% sure that the bank has actually come out and said this is the 100% concrete reason why. Like I say, I haven't seen an exact statement from them yet. But from what everyone else has been saying, they have said that the reason why Farage lost that is because he received a very large amount from Russia Today. Or at least supposedly that's what everyone else is saying. They received a large payment from Russia Today. This essentially, I think, probably made that bank quite nervous given the sanctions. Oh dear, it's starting to rain. We might just start sprinting soon. to get to cover. But that is the rumour going around, at least. And like I say, I can't 100% confirm that's why he lost it, but everyone's saying that's what he lost. That's why he lost his bank account. And I think it has more to do with the fact that the bank was a bit worried about certainly the UK sanctions regimes that we've got currently against Russia. And of course, if you're seeing, shall we say, taking a very large payment from Russia today, well, of course, that's a bit sus, so we say. And I can only hope, I really can only hope, that George Galloway also loses his bank account. Because there's someone else who is very, very pro-Russia, to be honest, as well. So we can only hope that, maybe this has made Galloway a bit worried as well. And rightfully so. So we haven't covered Galloway for quite a while. But then again, Galloway has just locked himself away just to do his own thing in his own corner of the internet. So I suppose in a way that's sort of good, but we'll see. And of course, after all last week's excitement as well, the hot dog revolution, as I have dubbed it, fizzled out, and we still don't know if to be honest, anything's really going to come of it. And the fact that still Putin is not really acted against anyone, so it's making him look kind of weak. And as I said before, there might be huge repercussions, but it has also proved that if Ukraine can actually make a breakthrough in this counter-offensive, then it's very likely that there is nothing behind that lie. The wind is your foe. Well, like I say, unfortunately, there's very little I can do about that. Saying when you do a video outside, you are at the mercies of the wind, like it or not. Like I say, some days are better than others when it comes to filming outside. But the other thing I wanted to talk about was, of course, Zach Goldsmith and his resignation letter. I'll have to say that was pretty surprising that he went after Rishi, to be honest, in such a hard fashion. Because he did the typical resignation letter of, oh, I'm so proud to be working with the government. I've achieved so much. And then just laid into Rishi, saying that, all these efforts to try and, pass environmental legislation have been completely, stymied and, being made unworkable because the Prime Minister just didn't care. And then, of course, he called him out for not going to a climate conference in France, instead going to visit a media baron. That's a pretty interesting attack on him on that. And then finally, I think he delivered really the coup de grace, which is that voters are becoming more environmentally conscious. You know, they are starting to care more and more about the environment. And when you've got a Conservative Party that really doesn't care about the environment, well, these people are going to go take their votes elsewhere. And he actually said that openly to Rishi Sunak, that you will lose, voters on this. Hang on a second. There we go. The screen is just very wet. There we go. Just giving it a good wipe. Anyway, good morning to you. Cavalan, good morning to you. Like I say, good morning to everyone else. Like I say, please do remember to click on the like button. Whoop. Just squeeze through here. But that has become, Zach Goldsmith, an expert at losing elections, exactly. But he is right in that regard. He will lose. I don't know if you can see the bird up there. So they will lose an election, because environmental concerns are becoming a lot more in voters, the forefront of voters' minds. Is becoming more and more important to them as a reason to and to not vote for different parties. So the fact that, the Conservatives aren't caring about the environment, and I think he's delivered quite a blow to Sunak. And as I've said before, there are Green Tories. They haven't yet formed a group, which is, to be honest, quite surprising. But who knows in the future, maybe. And if you remember at the first leadership election we had a couple of years ago, they came out and said, well, look, we're kind of shocked that you're doing this about the environment, so we're going to withhold our votes, and we're only going to vote for people who are at least going to confirm the commitments we made for net zero. So whether or not they can actually follow up become a serious pain in their side, or at least the Tory side is yet to be seen, shall we say. Maggie Pie, Tories, but no, they actually do exist. There are some Tories who do generally care about the environment. And I have to wonder how much trouble this is going to cause Sunak, to be honest, but we'll see. But the big reason why obviously he quit was that Zach Goldsmith was named and shamed. Nick B, good morning to you. A big reason why Nick B, a big reason why obviously why he resigned is the fact that obviously he's a Boris supporter, and he was named and shamed by the Privilege Committee as being one of the people who called it who called it a kangaroo court. And I have to really wonder if how much is it going to have an effect? Because I think that's the... We have to wonder how much that is going to have an effect on Sunak. Because if you've had a Boris supporter, did he resign as a ward? No, he just resigned as a minister. So he's still in the House of Lords. But he's still just, sitting pretty. But of course, he no longer gets that, government paycheck anymore, because he's no longer a minister. And of course, the reason why he resigned was that he was told, oh, you have to go and apologise, or else. And supposedly he refused to apologise and then resigned. So that's apparently the real reason why he resigned. And of course he took, shall we say, a couple of blows at Rishi on the way out. And of course you had Jacob Rees-Mogg this week as well. In a bizarre video where a reporter was asking him questions, and he went, oh, sorry, it's a holy day, and then I'm off to go watch some cricket. Which, consider it was a parliamentary working day, kind of an odd thing for him to do. But this will be interesting how this flattens out, because I can see arguments for and against not going for going after and not going after these people. Because most of these people at the Privilege Committee, if they decide to open an investigation into them and go after them, while I do agree it's good, these people are seen to be punished, it will, shall we say, stop future events like this happening. And, maybe we can only hope, given a suspension of 10 days or more, triggering a recall election, then maybe a by-election. Of course, that'll be sort of good, because the more the Tories lose, the more it makes them panic, and the Tories do not make good decisions when they are panicking. That's certainly for sure. And then I can see the other side to it, which basically says, look, these fools that have gone out and done this, they're all Boris supporters. They're all... oh, Reagan Lee, good morning to you. They're all Boris supporters. They're all, shall we say, fading in their popularity. Rees-Mogg is hardly, shall we say, the once power he was when he was, creating Mogmentum. When Rees-Mogg was going to be the leader of the youth wing of the Conservative Party, which brings to mind instantly the meme of, I can't remember the actor's name now. Was it Gary Busey? No, it wasn't. God, who was the actor now? It's like, hi there, fellow kids, and he's got the skateboard over his shoulder. Brings to mind that almost instantly, that meme. And of course, this comes. Hugh, good morning to you. Tom Hanks. Maybe. Maybe. Steve Buscemi, that's it, maybe. Yeah, I think it was Steve Buscemi, yeah. Scribbly. Under the Ministerials and Pensions and Salary Act 1991. Those resigning from office are entitled to a one-off payment of 25% of annual salary when they were paid when holding that office. Yeah. So he will sort of, Zach Goldsmith will still sort of get paid then. Jeff Hunt, good morning to you. Yeah, exactly. He was an unelected minister, which, you know, as I said last night, you know, I thought we went through a whole phase of having unelected bureaucrats. I thought that was a bad thing. But yeah, we have unelected ministers all the time, and you know, it was one of the arguments deployed during the referendum. Well, what do you mean unelected ministers? We've got people like that all the time in our government for various different reasons. Because, in fact, you can't have, you know, people full of expertise, you know, all the time. So you need to look outside. You need to bring in very often someone who might be an expert, an advisor, or something like that. So, yeah, exactly. Frosty again, yet another unelected minister. But back to the Privilege Committee. Yeah, I can see the argument not for going after them as well. That, to be honest, it would just be a pointless exercise. Even though they might get in trouble for it, they're not going to apologise, to be honest. They'll cause a lot of havoc, cause a lot of mischief, say that, oh, look, we're being gone after as well. See, we told you. This is all a, you know, kangaroo court. And to be honest, you really have to ask the question, is it worth the effort for the Privilege Committee to go after these people? And to be honest, the fact that they've named and shamed them in this regard, I think is more than enough. And the fact that Zach Goldsmith has resigned because he was told you have to apologise. Does that mean there's going to be a double-digit by-election now? We'll see what happens. We'll see what the Privilege Committee decides to do. Whether they will go after these people, because like I say, I can see the for and against argument for it. Like I say, that's the against argument, and of course the for argument is that, you know, they've broken the rules and, you know, they should be punished. But, and don't get me wrong, I see both sides on this. And Leah, yeah, I get it. It would again create a precedent, but you have to wonder if it's going to give these lunatics more attention than they really deserve. And, you know, as much as we want these, you know, people gone, is really giving them more attention a good idea? I'm not 100% sure it really is, but these people are already fading anyway. You know, Rees-Mogg's star and all these other, you know, people that Boris had brought on had also been, you know, seen as failures, that they were being now put on the back benches where they originally belonged, never to return, pretty much as, like, Priti Patel has done as well. So there was very little you know, punishment, I suppose, that could be deployed against them, of course, other than the suspension. And of course, if it's more than 10 days, well, it's a by-election. But we'll see. And to be honest, if it does happen, if it does go ahead, it'll be fun. I'm not going to lie. It'll be fun to watch and see, you know, this inquiry into them. I'm not going to lie. It will be fun to watch. But I have to wonder at the end of the day, is it really going to be that worth it? But also part of me is like, let's do it. Let's see it happen. You know, let's watch it happen. No. And you know, I'm really split on it. I'm not gonna lie. It's you know, part of me does want it, but the other part of me is like, well, they're done anyway. And I think the fact that they've named and shamed them, I think, to be honest, is more than enough. If the Privilege Committee really wants to go after them, I'm not going to say it's, you know, it's a bad idea. And like I say, I will ultimately look forward to seeing what punishment they hand down to these people. Out in the wind, so I do apologise, but there's very little I can do about this. Yeah, let's have an election instead, exactly. But we've said this before, the Tories are just going to cling on to power as long as they can. And unfortunately, that's going to result in probably a lot of bad things happening. Because they're not going to do anything, you know? They're not going to do a thing. And we've talked before about how this is a zombie parliament. They can't really act in the best interests of the UK because they're such a, you know, they're such a fractured party. They can't even get their act together. Yeah, but they seem majority they can afford a lot of by-elections. Well, what do you think to the great 15-year NHS plan? Well, that's pretty much Rishi Sunak saying, you know, Labour can sort it out. Or at least trying to sell the idea that, oh look, if only you give us, what, 3 more terms? 3 more terms, guys, that's it. We'll promise we'll get it right this time. Yeah, it's complete nonsense. And the whole idea of, oh yes, we want dental therapists to, you know, start performing operations. Well, I think, didn't the British Dental Association come out and said how much of a bad idea that would be, considering that the people they want to do these operations aren't actually trained in that way to perform those operations. So it's just a bad idea all around, but it reeks of desperation. And I think this is honestly where the Tories are. They're just sheer desperation, trying to reach for anything and anything that they can. And even then, you've got some real problems in that they can't even decide what they want to do. And I think it does really signal the fact that they know they're going to lose the next election. But as we've said, they're going to try and do the whole lose I want to say lose badly, no, lose goodly enough that maybe they keep some sort of decent-ish majority. Oh. Morning.
Hiya.
Oh. Oh, scribbly. Trust building starts with holding MPs and ministers to account. So at least this may act as a future dissent of future politicians. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just part of me just thinks it's not worth it, because Rees-Mogg is done. Zach Goldsmith has now quit. And now he's a sort of a lord, so the Privilege Committee, which is a parliamentary body, can't really go after someone in the Lords. The Lords would have to create their own committee in regards to that. It's just, is it worth it at the end of the day? And especially when they've already named and shamed them. I think that's more than enough, because most of these MPs are done anyway, especially come around the next election. Got some ponies for you at least. And then of course, you've said, what do I think about the Rwanda ruling? Great, honestly. I thought it was going to go that way anyway, because considering all the other treaties we've signed as as a country, we can't really have people come here, claim asylum, and then just go, well, you know what, we're going to send you to a completely different country. Not only that, there was the whole Rwanda plan thing, where we would actually have to start taking refugees from Rwanda. That was actually in the plan, but people like Suella Braverman and all the Tories have said, no, that's not in the plan, that's not in the plan at all. But it's right there. We can see it in the plan. So ultimately, this was a massive waste of money. If Suella Braverman really wants to try and do this, which she seems to really want to, I'm going to try and mount an appeal against it. We'll see what happens. I somehow very much doubt they're going to win. Braverman is already being seen, to be honest, a colossal failure. And as we said before, I don't think Sunak's going to get rid of Braverman, because she was an early supporter of him, certainly in the second election. And it's she who put most of the right wing of the party in to support Sunak. So there's if you get rid of Braverman, then that support from the right wing of the party could collapse. So that's why I've said before, I don't think he's going to get rid of her. But Kath OG, thank you very much. Braverman on the way out in a reshuffle. Again, as I've just said, I don't think he do. I really don't think he does. Because I think Braverman is providing very, very much propping him up. With that right-wing support, and they see her as, their woman on the inside. So we'll see. I mean, she's seen as a failure, so he might just have enough excuses to get rid of her. But to be honest, he's had more than plenty of excuses to get rid of her, and yet he hasn't, because he's a very weak prime minister. So we'll see what happens there if he does decide to do a reshuffle. But it would be very, very dangerous, because Rishi Sunak did not pick his cabinet. That's for true. Maggie Pie, thank you very much. They'll have 81 by-elections before calling a general election. Possibly, who knows? just send them all before the Privilege Committee. I'll sort them out. No, but thank you very much, both of you, for the super chats there. Thank you very much. We'll see. I think it would be very dangerous for him, to be honest, to have a reshuffle, because he didn't get to choose his cabinet in the first place. And if he did, this is where the horse trading would come in. It's very likely they would switch out Suella Braverman, probably for someone who was just as right-wing as she is. So I don't really see an improvement happening, shall we say, if they did replace Braverman, because she is who is bringing the right-wing support to Rishi Sunak, and thus this whole Rwanda plan is the right-wing's idea of this is how we win essentially the next general election. We bring in this bizarre plan we know won't work, which will at the end of the day cost more than actually housing asylum seekers here and bringing them through the system. So, yeah. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for joining me today on this somewhat very, very windy, somewhat rainy good morning walk. Like I say, sort of did rain briefly. And it does still look to be threatening to rain today. But as always, thank you so much for joining me today on today's Good Morning Walk. Thank you very much for joining me. Please do remember to click on the like button on your way out. Have an absolutely great weekend. Go out and enjoy yourselves. And as always, if you can't be safe, be sensible. And as always, we'll see you all next weekend for another Good Morning Walk.